the ancient weed that outsmarts pests and feeds your soil. Most gardeners are, pulling out one of the most useful plants in their entire garden and replacing it with problems. What they call a weed is often doing more for soil health and pest control than any product they buy. And by removing it too early or too aggressively, they're stripping their soil of nutrients, exposing it to damage, and creating the exact pest issues they're trying to prevent. That's not theory. I've tested it across multiple beds, and the pattern is consistent. The more aggressively you clear everything that doesn't belong, the more unstable your garden becomes. Bare soil, weak microbial activity, and pests moving in to take advantage of the imbalance. One of the first changes I made that helped me see this clearly had nothing to do with weeds at first. It was how I handled organic waste. I started using a sealed compost container like the Enloy countertop compost bucket with charcoal filters. It keeps scraps from turning into that sour, poorly decomposed material that can disrupt soil biology. I'll leave the exact one I use in the description if you want to check it out. It fixes a small mistake, but it ensures what you return to the soil actually supports life instead of harming it. Now here's where most gardeners get it completely wrong. Not all weeds are competitors, some are problem solvers. There's one category of plants that shows up in struggling soil and actually starts fixing it. Deep-rooted, fast-growing weeds that pull nutrients from lower layers and bring them to the surface. One of the most common examples is plants like dandelion or similar taproot weeds. Most people see them as invaders, but what they're actually doing is breaking compacted soil and cycling nutrients upward. When you remove them completely, especially by pulling out the roots, you lose that benefit, but if you manage them correctly, they become part of your system. The mistake is removing weeds too early and too completely. Most gardeners see a weed and remove it immediately, roots and all. That creates two problems. First, it leaves the soil exposed. That leads to moisture loss, temperature swings, and faster compaction. Second, it interrupts nutrient cycling. Those roots were pulling minerals up from deeper layers. Once removed, that process stops. What works better is controlled cutting instead of full removal. In my beds, I let certain weeds grow to a moderate size, then cut them at the base and leave the roots in place. The top growth becomes mulch. The roots decompose underground, feeding soil biology and improving structure. That's a completely different system. Now, why does this method reduce pests without the need for sprays? Here's something most people don't really connect. Pests often target stressed plants, not just specific crops. When the soil is weak, plants become more vulnerable. Their natural defenses drop, and then pests move in. But when the soil is active, nutrient cycling is strong, and moisture is stable, plants just develop better resistance. Certain weeds also play a direct role in pest management. Some of them release compounds that actually repel insects. Others act as trap plants, attracting pests away from your crops. In one of my test plots, I allowed a mix of beneficial weeds to grow around the edges instead of clearing everything. Pest pressure on my main crops dropped noticeably, not completely eliminated, but reduced enough that I didn't need to intervene. There's a timing strategy most people miss. Letting weeds grow doesn't mean letting them take over. Timing is everything. If you let them go too far, they'll compete for light and space. If you remove them too early, you lose their benefits. The balance I've found works best is cutting them just before they flower. At that stage, they've already pulled nutrients up and developed strong root systems, but they haven't started spreading seeds. This gives you maximum benefit without creating more work later. It's a simple adjustment, but it really changes how weeds function in your garden. Why roots left in the soil matter more than the leaves. Most people focus on what they see above ground. But honestly, the real value is below. When you cut a weed and leave the roots, those roots begin to break down. That creates channels in the soil that improve aeration and water movement. Microbes feed on that decomposing material, increasing biological activity. In compacted areas, this is one of the fastest ways to improve structure without digging. I've used this approach in heavy clay beds, and within one season, the difference in soil texture is noticeable, softer, more workable, and better at holding moisture. This works in containers too, but you have to adjust it. In containers, space is limited, so you can't let weeds grow the same way you would in open soil. But the principle still applies. Instead of letting weeds establish fully, I use fast-growing plants as temporary cover. Then I cut them early and leave the roots in place. Even in a 20-litre container, this improves soil structure over time. It also reduces how often you need to water and feed, because the system becomes more stable. Even hydroponic growers can use this idea differently. In hydroponics, you don't have weeds in the traditional sense. But, the concept of supporting plant health through system balance still applies. Instead of removing every extra element, I started focusing on creating stable conditions where plants could defend themselves naturally. That meant reducing constant adjustments and, allowing systems to stabilize. Different environment, same principle, don't overcorrect, or you create instability. The biggest myth that keeps gardeners stuck. The idea that a clean, weed-free garden is a healthy garden is one of the most misleading concepts out there. It looks good, but it often functions poorly. Bare soil is vulnerable soil. A slightly wild managed system is usually more productive than a perfectly cleared one. Now that doesn't mean neglect, it means understanding which plants help and which ones actually compete. And that distinction is what most people never learn. If you're finding this approach useful, go ahead and subscribe. This is the kind of practical, experience-based method that really improves results without adding to your workload. So, what actually happens when you start working with weeds instead of always fighting against them? Well, your soil starts improving much faster, not just in terms of nutrient content, but also in structure and how well it holds moisture. Pest pressure becomes more manageable because your plants are simply stronger. And honestly, your workload decreases. There's less digging, less feeding, and less of that constant intervention. You're not fighting the system. You're actually using it. The real key here is observation, not sticking to rigid rules. Now, not every weed is beneficial. Some will compete pretty aggressively and really do need to be removed completely. The skill comes in learning which ones to keep and which ones to manage. So pay attention to how your soil responds. Watch the patterns in plant growth. Notice where moisture tends to hold and where it doesn't. These signals will tell you far more than any general advice ever could. So, just to bring it all together, that ancient weed most folks pull out without a second thought could actually be doing 3 jobs at once: breaking up the soil, cycling nutrients, and even reducing pest pressure. When you manage it properly, it turns into a tool instead of a problem. And once you really understand how to use it, your entire approach to gardening starts to shift. You stop trying to control every little thing and start guiding the system instead. If you know someone who's always weeding but still struggling with poor soil or pest issues, why not share this with them? Because once you understand how to turn weeds into an advantage, you don't just reduce problems. You actually build a garden that improves itself over time, and honestly, that's where real, consistent results come from.